Morning. Looks like we are live. All right. So today we're going to go over a quick training, and the subject is reactive much, managing reactive people, and how we're going to go through 3 easy steps on how to manage reactive people. So, first of all, we need to understand reactions, where they come from, what's going on, and keep in mind we're always a work in progress. No matter how far we've gone, how much we've learned in this life, there's always more to learn, and there's always more for us to be able to understand. And managing reactions is key. Whether you're in business, whether that's your personal life, whether that is um, politics, whatever it is, being able to manage your reactions and managing the reactions of other people is an essential skill. So, this is what we're going to be going through. So, first of all, if this is your first time joining me, welcome. My name is Tina. I'm a happiness coach and I help business owners manage emotions in their business and in their personal life. So, reactions. So, reactions are trained responses based on our past experiences, what we've gone through. So, we might have positive reactions and we might get excited about something. We might also have negative reactions. And so, I know for myself, one of the things that I've learned when I have those negative reactions, I need to understand that my first response is usually not the best response. So, and it's important for us to understand what our reactions are. So, depending on the circumstances, depending on who's delivering the message, that can also change how you react. So, you could have one person say one thing and the other person says the exact same thing, and you will have completely different reactions from it. So that's based on our filters of what's going on with us and how the message is being delivered. So, first thing is we need to understand what is our reaction, why is that coming up, and before we respond, especially if we're having a negative reaction, maybe we're getting defensive, maybe we're getting angry, maybe we're getting irritated, we need to halt, and make sure that we don't react negatively. We don't want to contribute to that negative reaction, and we need to take time to assess what's going on with us, especially if we tend to be highly reactive. If somebody says something and we tend to fire off, we've got that, uh, I don't know, it's kind of like this explosive temper, or, it's like red alert. Red alert, shields up, and fire torpedoes, right? If you have that kind of reaction happening, you're going to want to learn how to pause, take some time, usually within 24 hours. Maybe you need to journal, maybe you need to understand what's going on, especially if somebody's getting really under your skin on something. And it's kind of like, uh, so kids will actually, they know how to push your buttons, they know how to get your goat kind of thing, and nobody can get your goat if you don't show them where you tie them up. So what we need to do is, first of all, manage our own reactions. What is the reaction that I'm having? Why is this happening for me? Who have I been able to learn this stuff from? What has gone on with me? And so you need to understand first, your first response is usually not the best response when you are having that knee jerk reaction. Start to learn to pause, take a look at, and analyze where is this coming from for me before I react. Okay? Number two, we need to start to cultivate the skill of opposing opinions. And being able, this is what you do when you're in the pause, is you start to look at what it is that the other person would view this as, what experiences have they gone through to form their perception, form their opinion, and how can we put the shoe on the other foot and look at things from their perspective. And when we can do that, and when we've gotten ourselves to a calmer area, then we're able to see, oh, okay, you know what? I hadn't thought of it from that perspective. Because remember, we all default to our own perspective first. Sorry, I'm just, I don't know why things are so grainy on the TikTok. Maybe it's the lighting. Sorry, I got distracted there, squirrel. Um, so opposing opinions, right? We need to look at what's going on with the other person and how do they see things. What is it that they've gone through that would form that perspective? What information do they know that we don't know? What information do I know that they don't know? And so we need to start looking at those kind of things rather than just automatically assuming the other person's wrong, they're completely invalid, and then the battle of the wills starts happening. You start arguing, you start finding no common ground, which leads to the third thing, is focus on how can we find a common ground here. How can we create a win-win situation? What is it that the other person is truly desiring? What is it that I am truly desiring? So this is important when we're assessing our reactions. What is it that I really want from this? What is the outcome that I'm looking for? And how do I facilitate that and make sure that the other person feels like they win as well? Because if you do it as a win-loss, eventually somebody will retaliate. How do you move forward when there's no middle ground? Okay, that is an excellent question. So, first of all, we need to address the belief that there is no middle ground, that the other person is just not cooperative, they won't find a happy medium. We need to look within ourselves and find out, okay, first of all, if that is true, so Lena, if that is true, why am I still trying to find a middle ground? Why am I still participating in this battle? Why am I not just walking away from this? Why am I investing my energy into this process, into this problem? And if you still, when you answer those questions, you might find that, no, there is a workable solution. I just haven't figured out how to communicate that to the other person in a way that they understand, in a way that they are willing to collaborate. And maybe it's because there are certain things that they want and you're not willing to budge on those. And accepting that and understanding that is really important at being able to know where our boundaries are. So this isn't just about, giving in to give in and get along, right? It's about, no, this is too important. I'm not willing to let this piece go. This is not so important. So we need to know where our wiggle room is, where our strong boundaries are of, no, I'm not willing to go past this point. And I'm willing to defend, not attack. There's a big difference. I'm willing to defend that this is right, but I'm not willing to attack you for it. But I will defend it. So that's a big difference. And if you are still in that place of wanting to attack, then you're coming from a place of fear and you're not coming from a place of love. And if you're coming from a place of fear, then you are going to tear down the other person because you are afraid. When we address our own fears and we know that we are capable of defending and making sure that these are the boundaries that I want to keep, these are the boundaries that are important, and I'm willing to hear your side of what's going on with you, but I'm not willing to sacrifice these boundaries. So when we understand that, then we have a strong position of where we're what we will and will not do, and we can listen and hear that we want the other person to feel happy, to feel satisfied. That's when you come to the table to negotiate. That you can see they're not just the bad person. If you see them as the villain, as you see them as the party that's unwilling to find middle ground, there will be no collaboration. There will only be war. And you cannot continue down that path. You need to step back, find out what it is that you're afraid of, and you're afraid that if they get this, then I'm going to lose this. So it's the win-lose mindset rather than the win-win mindset. When you collaborate from a win-win mindset, you will be able to find a middle ground, and you will be able to make sure they win. I don't know what's going on with you will make sure they win as well as you win. If you can come to that, and it may take a few tries. It may take you managing your reactions, them managing their reactions, and if they're in a place where they're not able to manage their reactions, you need to back off, give them space to understand and process what it is that they want. Now, defend, if they're in attack mode, you absolutely have the right to defend yourself. You have a right to say, this is not going to go any further, and I will stop any attacks from happening. But if we can only manage our side of, am I in attack mode? Am I trying to tear this other person down? What's going on with this? Am I trying to tear the other person down or the other party down? Am I trying to make sure they feel like they lose? If you make another person feel like they are losing, then eventually they may not be able to attack or fight back right now, but eventually they're going to get back up and they're going to fight. And if it's not them, maybe it's somebody that's close to them that's going to say, you know what? I saw what you did. I saw you hurt the other people, and I'm going to fuck you up. And that's not a good thing. That is creating more war. So always try to negotiate from a win-win perspective, and know that you are still strong enough to be able to hold boundaries in place, and that you will not tolerate things that are going to harm yourself or those around you. And so when we come from that position of strength and collaboration, then we can find middle ground. And we will also gain the respect of the other party that we are negotiating with, that they know that we are willing to defend, that we are willing to protect, and we won't be walked on, but we also want to find a middle ground. We are willing to negotiate. We are willing to collaborate. We are willing to find that middle ground. And we are willing to wait until the other person is able to do that. And so a complete deadlock over a period of time. Yeah, that may be the case. But if you still ask yourself, why is this important enough to negotiate on? If it's not important enough to negotiate on, or you believe that the other party is not willing to meet you in the middle, then you need to walk away from that. Okay? You need to be able to walk away from it, protect your peace, understand what it is that you want, and that you're willing to find another way to solve this same problem. You believe that this party was going to be able to work with you and collaborate. That's not an option. Okay. Can you tell me a little bit more, Lena? If you're not able to walk away, you have to question what's going on there. If you're not able to walk away or pause, then are you captured? Are you trapped? Are you imprisoned? What is going on there? So we need to look at our own beliefs. How do we react? If somebody is attacking us, we defend and we are able to step back, but we need to manage our own reactions. Are we actually trying to collaborate? If we are, and the other party is not, then we need to be able to stop any attacks that they are doing, and then come to a place where we can negotiate. It doesn't have to do with a company. It's a legal battle over children. Okay, that is definitely a tricky situation, and it's not something that I can help with on live, but doing what's best for the children is something that I would personally put at top priority. And so I would have to assess whether or not the other party is actively trying to harm the children. If so, then I would do everything in my power to protect, and and if I am not strong enough, I would enlist every possible ally that I can find to protect those children. That is the most important thing. Um, and if you're able to do that, great. If you're not, um, you have to look at, what am I contributing to the situation of it being a battle? That is something that I would always start with. Am I contributing to this being a battle? Did I do things along the way that cause the other party to believe that they are under attack? And start looking at that. We can only control our reactions, protect those children as much as possible, and enlist whatever resources, allies that you can get to help you protect those children. That, I don't know if that helps you or not, Lena, but that is what I would personally do, and that's all I can offer for perspective. So hopefully that is helpful to you, and all we can do is manage our own reactions. Am I operating from a place of love, or am I operating from a place of fear and trying to attack and harm the other person, or am I operating from a place of love for myself, for others, and all those involved? Okay, so they're acting out of spite, out of fear of losing the children. Okay, so if you recognize somebody else is acting out of fear, what we need to do is provide them, we need to remove their fear and show them that we're not here to hurt them. If you can do that, you have to look at, what actions have I taken that have created or triggered that fear response in them. They're afraid of losing the children. So now, have they done actions that have caused you concern that they might hurt the children? If so, then their fear is real for them. They know that they've done wrong, but how can we help them do the right thing? How can we operate out of love so that they don't have to fear losing their children? Okay? All of us have that fear response, and some of us have not learned how to process those emotions properly, and we can end up creating these dynamics. And while we can't control the other person, we can control our part. So what is it that you are willing to do to help the other person not feel so fearful, to reduce their reaction of spite? Okay? Because when we have to understand what are our reactions, and when we understand our own reactions better. So, for example, the experiences that I've had in the past where I grew up, where I was highly criticized, things would get violent in our home if you acted out, right? Or if you spoke up. So I learned how to people please. And a lot of times there were reactions that would happen that that were completely unreasonable, right? So one of my mom's boyfriends, he was very narcissistic, a malignant one. So he would do things that would deliberately try to harm us, and it didn't matter what I did, he would always move the goalpost, okay? And so what would happen is, over the years, when somebody would criticize me, I learned to be very defensive. And because I had to be, because I was trying to combat illogical situations, very emotionally volatile situations, and I would try to diffuse those with logic as much as possible. So consequently, I tend to be a bit defensive when I'm criticized, and I also tend to over explain a lot. And because of those reactions, some people, when they're not actually attacking me, they end up having that defensive reaction. It's like, Tina, I'm not even attacking you, and you're acting like I am, because I have a sensitivity to being criticized, because I was overly criticized. So understanding, now that doesn't make me a bad person, but some people might not like that or not have to deal with that. And I understand that. I can understand their perspective because I've experienced that as well, where people were acting like I was being a bully about something and I wasn't, but because of their past experiences, they saw it in a certain light. So when you learn to understand your own reactions, you'll be able to better understand other people's reactions. You'll have a lot more compassion for them because you've learned to have compassion for yourself. And not everything is easily solvable in one go. I know, Lena, you're going through a challenge with kids and having somebody else's reactions. This is unfortunately a very difficult situation to try and solve those things. But if you start to practice those things, at least analyzing what are my reactions when they do X, I tend to respond Y. Do you want to fight back? I'm going to show them. What is it that you have for a reaction? Do you put your walls up and walk away? Right? I know I'm guilty of that I will put my walls up when you're being overly emotional, overly reactive. I tend to put walls up and I tend to walk away. I'll throw the baby out with the bathwater. I'll say, that's it. I just want to be alone. And that's because I'm aware that some of that is my reaction from past experiences. And that was the only way that I could try and keep myself safe. I'm not saying this as a defense, but when I start to understand it and I can start to look at it, then I can start to change my own behavior. When I change my own behavior, it will have an effect on those people around me. And so, Lena, if you are able to start looking at what are your reactions, what did you contribute to the situation to cause them to be so fearful, so spiteful, and when you can take a look at that, maybe you changing a small thing, how would you redo some of the behaviors that you've done? That's all that you can focus on. You can't focus on changing them, but I promise you, if you start focusing on your own behavior and what it is that you actually need to change within yourself, then you will get a different response. They can't respond the same way because you're now not behaving the same way. So at any given point, no matter who is being the reactive one, whether it's you or them, at any given point, you can change the dynamic by changing your behavior. So, guys, that is the training for today. If you aren't already following me on YouTube, I highly recommend that you go to YouTube and follow me, Coach Tina B 125. And make sure you subscribe, and if you comment, that's great. That'll help the algorithm to provide this training and show that training to more and more people. So thank you, Lena, for asking such an awesome question. I hope that was helpful for you, and I hope you have an amazing day. Okay, thanks guys, have a great one. Bye.